Welcome to the Idea Game Changer podcast. And Idea Game Changer podcast is an initiative of Idea Television, a leading Pan-African television put in place to promote science, technology, innovation, research, and STEM education in Africa. Putting Africa perspective, Africans' narration, African invention on a global landscape. And part of the initiative of the Idea TV is to create the Idea Game Changer, which is a podcast put in place to interview some veterans in the science and technology industries. We have four segments of this podcast. We have, in my opinion, where we call experts from various fields to talk about to give their expert opinions on trending matters, policies, topics for founders and inventors. We have the Share Your Story, where we call the professionals to tell their story on how to make things work in the Nigeria we find ourselves today. We have the Young Einstein. Young Einstein is where we bring young minds, the young people, bright minds, intelligent minds in Africa, in Nigeria, Namibia, Zimbabwe, all over Africa, to tell us their story of how they bring that innovative solution, how they bring it into limelight. Then we have, lastly, the Science Chatterbox. Is the fun and engaging one where we bring science students or basically university students to tell us about their perspective about science, technology, innovation, research, etc. But without boring you with the details, today's section is the In My Opinion segment, and I have a wonderful guest with me, Mr. Mustapha. I would love him to introduce himself, but before that, I have a bio. If you see a bio full like this, you should know that you should get ready for something serious. So I'm just going to read a few parts before I give him the floor to introduce himself. So Mr. or should I say Engineer Mustapha Ibrahim is an engineer whose skills and knowledge immediately portray him as a man of focus and vision. Mustapha is the epitome of a man who has devoted his life to a professional career that is at the core of his passion. He is an alumnus of the prestigious University of Leeds. He is an impeccable definition of academic excellence, as proved in his bachelor degree in chemical and energy engineering with a master's degree in engineering management from the University of Wollongong in Dubai, UAE. His problem-solving skills and knowledge dovetail into his professional capacity as the CEO and founder of PIVEA. Is it PIVEA or
PIVEA Group?
PIVEA Group, where his most visible role has been engineer. I think if I read this, our audience are just going to be blown away. So I want you to do the introduction yourself, sir.
All right, let me just try and keep it short. As you said, my name is Engineer Mustapha Ibrahim. Most people know me as the Ajebo hustler. I'm an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur preferably, and business consultant.
Right.
I also run in terms of the corporate entity, I run two companies, PIVEA Real Estate and Roadrunner Mobility Tech.
How come? How possible? Thank you for introducing yourself. It's a pleasure to meet you on the platform, and you're welcome once again. But then one of the things that fascinated me the most when I was reading your bio is how possible. We know the Nigeria we find ourselves today. How possible? Okay, let me start from what motivated you to start these brands, because you don't have just one business, but 2-3 businesses. So how come? What motivated you? What inspired you to say, okay, let me start this? I think it's going to be a solution for Nigerians.
Well, I think from the early days when I was young, the motivation started from my mom, I believe. She has been a businesswoman since from the get-go. So
You cultivated that
I
before.
see her when, at the time I was living in Minna, I was just maybe like 7-8 years old. And then she will travel by night bus to Lagos and then buy stuff, come back home, sell, make little profit, go back. And then before you knew, she grew her business. Now she travels all over the world.
Wow.
Importing different stuff.
So that's where you get the Ajebo /spirit from.
So not long after that, I finished my education and then moved to the UK. I think it opened, living in the UK opened my mind up. At that time, I realized that I can't work like for the government, basically. I just thought, let me make some changes, let me build my own company, thereby having a greater impact. So when I came back, even the name PIVEA was just one day, random day, I was just sitting in my room thinking of which company to start. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to invest. I wanted to make some profit. But then I was just thinking about the name first. So I just kind of wrote profits via investment, and then I was just writing with my red pen, and then I wrote the P. Then I realized it was a red pen. Then I dropped it. Then I took the blue one, and so the P was like kind of highlighted in red. So it was like P via VIE through investments. So and then the name sounded very nice. I was like, this is really unique. So I checked it. I instantly called my lawyer, and then he kind of incorporated the name. So, but then all my businesses kind of ran from simple problems people were facing around me at that time. So I didn't have it in mind that I'm going to build a logistic company or a tech company. It just came. Like in 2018, that was when I started PIVEA Real Estate. It was just about, I was doing my master's. I realized that people were suffering from getting affordable housing. And then I was in Dubai then doing my master's, but then we were having discussions with Nigerians,
right?
Because they were like, they need to start buying houses. They need to buy houses at home, but then the housing market, like, it's very difficult to get something at the right price. So I just thought, why not do something along that field? So, but then the capital wasn't there. So I just thought the easiest way to get capital in real estate is to start brokerage. So just helping people create deals and then get your commissions. So that's how it started.
I would like to know more about how you get the funding before you started. But then I want you to tell me what you saw in the UK that you think Nigeria is not having that shifted your mindset. I say if Nigeria can just incorporate this thing that this country are doing, probably Nigeria will be a better place. What was that thing that you saw?
The legal system. The legal system, it's top notch. That's what differentiates us. If the legal system in Nigeria could be fixed, whereby an investor knows that if he invests this amount, he can take you to court and he gets his money back, or whatever deal you do, it's kind of
legal
framework. Because Nigeria, as we know, yes, you can easily make a handshake deal and then maybe write something, but then
that's not the end.
That's not the end. It will end up 10 years court, and then the person with the most money wins usually, because of how corrupt our legal system is. But then there, especially, they have the infrastructure, they have the cost systems, they have the legal system whereby every documented process is followed. Yes.
Wow, thank you very much. So the major topic for today is how to build sustainable brands for businesses in Nigeria and Africa, particularly focus on the tech brands. Now, I would like to ask you, proud to that question for our audience watching us right now, what is one thing that you feel that every person that wants to build a business in Nigeria, not anywhere else, but in Nigeria, should consider before even say, I have a business?
Well, for me, I put emphasis on your team. Yeah. Because nowadays you can't do anything alone. The team is the most paramount. Some people think it's the customer, but then it's your team that serves your customers.
Right.
The next definitely is the customer. You have to, when you have this, any business can be formed when you first have a customer. But then to build that business, the first prototype, you must have a team.
A team that believes in your vision.
Yes.
So while building your home, how were you able to get the team? Is it like, because nobody wants to work for free again?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to do, that's your vision, it doesn't concern me. So how were you able to gather them and say,
especially
let's do this together?
Now in the tech field, whereby talent is very hard to find, talent is very expensive, especially now everyone knows the value. Everyone you try to hire will tell you it needs a pay from 500K and above. So, but then at the startup stage, you are not making revenue then. So paying salaries will be difficult. So you just have to find people that have the similar goals as you, believe in your passion. For me, luckily, I've been cultivating this kind of community over the years, because I try to attend almost every networking event within the North and Abuja. So over the years, I've already collected people, I will say, or members. So that network gives you that ability to easily get someone that has that kind of similar vision as you. So for me, the team came to me because I started Roadrunner example. I started posting about it, and then easily people started contacting me. Even my co-founder contacted me.
Wow.
He was like, "Okay, I believe in this. Can we join hands?"
So you're posting on social media, telling people, like pushing it to the world. Like, this is
even before I did anything, I just wanted to know if the idea was because yes. For me, like I have one tennis. I jump on with 2 feet. Like when I start something, most of the time I regret it, but then it's kind of my way of doing things. I go all in. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Example, like 2021, when I started Roadrunner, when the idea came, basically, it was just my sister. She was just having difficulties trying to deliver a package. So because she was at home, after COVID, most vendors moved home. They closed their offices because it was easier working from home, and then the restrictions. Then some people realized that even working from home was even better for them because they saved money for the rent.
From the transport.
So my sister sells small chops, and you know how small chops is. Like you have to fry that same day, and then you have to get it to the customer as soon as possible. So she will try and get a logistic driver to send her parcel, but then there will always be delay. Always, madam, we are closed, but then they won't come.
Wow.
So she was pissed off, and then once she had an order of almost over 200K, and then because of the delay, the client cancelled, and she has already fried everything. So she was very pissed off. So I just thought of how do I solve her problem. I simply just created firstly a WhatsApp group. So that's how MVPs sometimes are created. That was my basically first MVP. It was just a WhatsApp group, and then I got like 10 riders, put them on the same group, and then put her in it. So she could post her orders, and then the closest one among the 10 will see it, and then share the location on WhatsApp. So over time, she added more of her friends that are doing the same life, and then they grew to the orders were too much for the riders to a community from WhatsApp group. But then the problem with that was privacy, because everyone will see everyone's order, and so I just had to find a way to build a tech platform out of it. That was where I thought, okay, this is already existing. We have Uber. Why can't we change Uber for logistics? Before even Bolt thought about it, Uber now Bolt has built the logistic aspect. So when I started, it wasn't there before. So I tried to kind of tweak that kind of system where you connect passengers to drivers, to passengers now, parcels now to riders. So
that's amazing. Speaking of sustainability that you mentioned that when you came up with this, idea, Bolt wasn't having the logistic aspects of their brand then. Now, how do you make this particular business sustainable over time? Now look at it, you're running a logistic business. The boat, let's say peradventure you were using boat then. Now boat has a logistic system. It is kind of very conflicting with the idea that you brought. So how do you make it sustainable? How do you make it last? Because before we know it, in 2 or 3 years, something else might come up. So you see, one thing about tech system, like Elon Musk will say, the best way to beat your opponent is to innovate faster. Like you have to innovate as fast as possible. Like build more services that will before your competitor catches up, it will take time. Outsmart them.
Yes. So basically, I have other services. My system, we call Roadrunner the all-in-one mobility platform. We just don't do e-hailing. We also do mobility financing. And so basically, apart from connecting parcels to owners, we also connect people, but this time around via ride sharing. We do interstate travels. Example, if you notice, like most civil servants have their family in a different state because it's very hard living in Abuja. Example.
It is.
So they travel over the weekend to their family, but now with the rising costs, that's where the inflation comes. So it's very difficult. So we made it easier for them. Now they can travel every week because now they can easily get connected to people going the same way. If you are traveling, to example, Kano, with our platform, you can book, you can see a driver going that same way. You book, and then you have a meeting point. Instead of going to the park and you don't know when the car will move, and then at the time it will take you to sit down at the park waiting for the bus or car to fill up. And then thirdly, the insecurity and then the discomfort, because most of the cars in the park have no ACs. But this time around, you know it's a private client, you know the type of car he has. There is a full KYC. There is kind of you know who you are even traveling with before you travel with. You even know your favorite passenger because you see all the
it's not the number plate and all of
you can reserve your seat in time. So it saves costs because they get extra money for their fuel. They get people to talk to when they are traveling. At the same time, it's now they can travel and see. So we're kind of having, apart from the sustainability, there's a social impact. There is, because
social
of that
interaction.
yes
So
and then good security now and comfort. So that's one thing our platform offers. And then secondly, we do mobility financing. Mostly, example, if you know Move, they finance cars for Uber drivers. We do that, but not cars. We target the smaller customers like the bikers and tricycle owners.
Okay.
Because one thing I realized was the idea came from one day I was just in a keke napep because my car was blocked by another car and I needed to get something, so I took a keke, and then he was just chatting up with me like about how difficult it is. Like two people share one keke sometimes because they want to easily pay off the owner. And then out of that, those two people, they feed about 7 to 10 people from the income. So I realized that this is an automatic KYC, and these people like need this, and this is a market. There is a market for it. So we started financing vehicles. So the aim was to create, because what we realized that there was a point whereby there were so many orders, but then there were delays because these logistic companies don't have enough vehicles to kind of cater for their customers' needs. So we started financing bikes for them.
Okay.
So we give them bikes, that way they can do more orders and then they can make more revenue and then they can pay off easily. So the same way we started doing keke napep, we give it to these owners. But the amazing thing, we have 0 default rate. Why? Because of the kind of model we use. It's a very sustainable model because these keke napep people, they have associations, and in the associations they have like rotation. They do many contributions.
I understand.
So we give these associations the vehicles. They serve as a KYC because these associations know them to their core. They know where they live. They know their family. So it's very difficult for them to kind of not pay. And then when you delay because of maybe illness or something, the association covers your payments to the contributions you make. So that's why we have zero default rate.
Yeah, well, that's very amazing. Wow, I really wish this really go bigger, because I think a lot of Nigerians need that. Coming from someone as a student, I was a student in Illinois, and I can tell you how transport system is a big issue. It's not about the road anymore. It's not about the availability of keke. It's about if I am ready and you are ready. If we can combine and just what's the word? Just agree on the same thing. So I get where you're coming from. But you, as a founder now, if there's any advice you are going to give to anybody that want to start a business today in Nigeria now, what will it be? What's the first thing? Is it like get your business model, get your proposal? What is the first thing they should put in place?
From my years of experience, mostly as a business consultant, what I realized most is most people focus on the wrong things when they start. They believe that CEO tag, it's so precious. Like you see someone will just have a business name, not even registered. They just have a name, business name. The business registered. Cakes by Mimi. They have started business. Just because her parents told her she's good at baking, she has started business. She's the CEO of Cakes. I'm forgetting that the meaning of CEO first is Chief Executive Officer. That means you have to have employees first.
Exactly.
So one thing about business is, no matter, even if you're good at the technical aspect, you may not be a good manager. You might not be a good CEO. You can be good at baking, but that doesn't mean you can run a business that does baking.
You can be good at the craft or the skills, but then not be able to run a business.
So your decision, as you are the founder basically, but you can be founder, but you don't have to be CEO. You can hire someone to take that role, manage the business for you. So what I usually tell people is your traction matters firstly. You have to have a small group or community. Is a way to prove your idea. Kind of, even if it's baking, whatever you do, get a few people, get a close group. Usually don't start with family and friends because they always tell you positive. Start with people you don't know. Let them test your product. That means you have to even have the product first, even if it's just a minimum viable product, just proof of concept or prototype. If it's equipment or something you're manufacturing, have a prototype. Start from there, and then next you build your team. Then next you target more customers. So that's how. And then most importantly, you have to have the legal framework, all the documentation set. That's why I tell people, once you know this is what you want to do, first go and register it.
Then nobody will steal the idea.
Apart from stealing the idea, because ideas now, they are saturated. Ideas are very simple. That's where the legal system is. Even if someone copies your idea, go to court. You're like, I did it first. Because even the trademarks here in Nigeria are not. If you trademark your name here in Nigeria, it doesn't apply it globally. It's not a global trademark. But then if I trademark my name in the US, it's kind of applicable everywhere. But then, because I can use a name someone is using in Nigeria and abroad, and it won't clash.
Wow.
Yes, because it's a Nigerian trademark. No one can use it in Nigeria. But also, even if you use it, bring evidence. I can say I have this name first. Yes. Maybe I've been using it on my Instagram page for a long time. So trademarks don't really matter. I don't really care about protecting that brand name. Once you build a credible team, a credible community, the brand name sticks. No one can steal it from you, even if you don't register it. There are some names that no matter how other competitors try to take it, it's very difficult. So because they have their community, they have the people, they have loyal customers.
Yes.
Just imagine Apple, even if they don't register their name.
They are so ready to do that.
Whatever. People can't take that name off them.
The brand. Yeah. Okay, so can you tell us an experience where something happened to you and you wouldn't want it to happen to any potential business founder? Maybe there was a time that something happened to you and how you were able to overcome it, like a challenge, a very strong one that challenged your expertise or that challenged your skills or that challenged your idea or that challenged your business acumen as a person. What was that thing and how were you able to overcome it?
Well, firstly, I would say, although I'm a tech entrepreneur, I don't code. And I don't want to even learn how to code. Because I believe my strength is in the ideation process, building that idea, seeing the idea to fruition. Even though I can wireframe, I can design UI, UX, I can do certain aspects. Basically, I see myself as a product manager. So some years back, especially when the fintech started coming up, I tried developing a fintech product. It was called PayFast. It was basically going to compete with Paystack and Flutterwave, basically. I spent over 25 million building the system, but then one thing struck me down: legal framework. CBN just came out with a rule: you need to have $200,000 to even get a license. So $100,000 to get a license.
400 million.
Yeah, at that time, just imagine you having side generating revenue, just building, and then you have that
something that you're not even sure that's going to work in the market.
Yeah. So unluckily for me, I couldn't raise the money because no one will invest in something that is not existing just for them to use the money to get a license. But then you see, that's why I said the legal system in Nigeria needs to change. When Flutterwave and Paystack started, they have already started before the rule came in. So they had already even raised funding. So they could easily just run back and get a microfinance license easily and continue building. But for me, just imagine working for almost 2 years, building a team, I don't want anyone to have that kind of heart. So that's why I said first thing now you need to do to avoid this kind of heartbreak that I had is to have the legal system done first. Make sure you have your certifications, you have everything before even building the product. That way you won't cry.
So
at the end.
if you have a product now, the first thing is to do the legal framework, have all the documentation in place
Everything.
before you even say you want to put it out there.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then secondly, my biggest issue, one of my biggest issues, even though I see nowadays, instead of like sometimes people try and build a team fast, big team to develop a product, I believe sometimes outsourcing is the best. Like if you can get another company that knows what they are doing, that really have a team, instead of you like hiring maybe 10 coders or programmers to develop your software for you, and then paying them for like a year.
Hey,
Because minimum is the contract is like a year at least. And maybe they can finish in like 2 months, but then you have to still pay, you keep paying them. And then after they are done, maybe 4 months, they are done with the software. Only one person is actually needed, or 2 people to maintain the product. But then now you have maybe 10 people that you have to keep paying. So that's one thing outsourcing does. You can outsource the product development. Make sure, yes, you still own the product completely. That's one agreement you have to keep. It's not like they're building the product and outsourcing it to you or something, but it's yours. So you get a good company, and then you make sure your idea is kind of envisioned and everything is there. And then you keep testing as you go until you get a perfect product. But then that's where my first problem came. I chose the wrong company. That's why Roadrunner didn't start as fast as I thought. I had the idea, chose the right company. It took over a year, they couldn't deliver. So I had to start building from scratch. But then that period gave me the opportunity to learn and then even expand on the idea. So that's where even the mobility financing came in. During that period of waiting, I started even the mobility financing even before the apps were launched.
Wow.
So even when I launched the app,
you already have like
yes, I removed it from Play Store and kind of developing it now to do bigger things.
Well, so I have a question here which says, how do you integrate sustainable practices? Actually, when you mentioned legal framework, before you bring it, I was about to ask you a question, is that as a business owner, how do you manage the challenges of employing, doing the legal part of the business and maintaining contract? Why I'm asking this question is because sometimes building business is not enough, and a single signature of a contract can mar your business, can destroy your business completely. So I was having that question here, that how are you able to take employees who are mostly not your friends or family, you take them into the business and you sign them for, how do you manage the regulations, policies, laws, all of this? You know, Nigeria, there's always a Nigerian factor to every business. How are you able to manage them to make sure that these things still come over, that it doesn't get sown by all of these things that we are facing in this country?
So firstly, for me, I don't employ family or friends. That's my number one rule.
Because business.
Yes, my rule is I can't employ someone that I can't fire without rebus. Because if it's family, there will be someone involved, like to say,
family meeting.
Yes.
Why do you fire my
friend? You return him or someone. Like there will be that. I want someone that, yes, he has set rules and responsibilities. He has accepted them. If he doesn't do it, yes, it's prone for sacking. But then firstly, how you manage staff is, don't employ on a 1-year contract at the beginning. You always have a 3-month temporary contract, 3 to 6 months. Thereby, you know that person is has a culture fit. Because no matter how, someone might be skilled, but then his culture doesn't fit your brand. So it wouldn't work. So I can remember there was a day a lady came to do an interview, but then I instantly kind of, after talking to her for 30 seconds, I told her she wouldn't get the job. Why? Because immediately she came in, the way she interacted with my staff, I was listening, and then I knew she wouldn't be a good fit. That alone, she had the CV, she had everything.
Interpersonal relationship skills.
She had, you know, there's one thing about, that's why I hire on not just on skills, Attitude versus skills.
character.
So attitude is the best. You can always train your employees. I can remember I had one employee when I was in Kaduna. When she started working for me, she couldn't even use Microsoft Word and certain things very well. She couldn't do
vast in computer literacy.
But then now, like she's basically doing her master's degree now.
Wow.
That's one. There's no software she can't use. And she's good at AI. She's learning how to code and stuff like that. So when you look at it, she wasn't skilled at the beginning, but then she had the attitude. She was even schooling at that time. During in between her break, she will come to work and then she will go back. She even changed her classes to night classes so that she could meet up.
I feel like for that particular person, there's this part of self-development spirit in them.
Yeah.
Because it takes always intention about their growth to go through that kind of thing that you shared right now about the lady that you just mentioned. So I think there is interpersonal development skills. One question I also have in mind is, was there any time that you made a mistake that you wish you could switch back the hand of time and we work on it? Or was there any time that you made a mistake, that you've done something and you wish you could have done differently if given another chance?
Well, if given another chance, actually, maybe I might change the course I studied in school to something that I could finish faster. Maybe business admin, because even the engineering kind of opens your mind. It makes you a problem solver. It makes you think outside the box, because engineering tasks are usually quantitative or reasoning kind of. It helps you build your IQ and other things.
But then,
so I just thought, if I could go back, why not just, since I already knew I want to do business, why not just get to it straight?
Do you know you wanted to do business then?
Yes, because I remember my first business was when I was in just 3.
What were you doing then?
I've been a problem solver for a long time. You see, I used to go to visit my grandmother in the village. I realized that there's a big opportunity there, because most of these people don't have games, they don't have consoles in their home. I created a gaming center, and then it was filled up. Because because that's finding opportunities.
Yes.
And then they didn't have a place to watch the football. I created a viewing center for them, and then it was making money. In our estate, there was no place where you could groom your hair, so I opened a salon.
So what year was this? What year were you?
This was
secondary school, uni?
2007. Yes, I was in secondary school, just 3 SS1, SS2. So in uni, I sold Indomie. Yes, and in secondary school, I sold Indomie. Not cooked, raw, just because at that time, even though it's kind of illegal, I would say, we weren't allowed to bring provisions because we were fed. But it was a private secondary school, so people always wanted what they couldn't have. So I saw the opportunity. I had people bringing Indomies for me, and then Indomie at that time was 17 naira, but then I was selling it at 250. Because there was opportunity, and most of my class were caught. I wasn't caught. Someone burgled my locker. So I thought at this point, if they have started stealing from me, it's dangerous then. So I stopped. I turned 50,000 naira that I went to over 500k. In one term. And that one,
I would have agreed to that. Do you know I would not agree to that? Because it wasn't illegal. The legal back.
At that time, I was students, you are not thinking of it as illegal. You're thinking of it as you are just being
I went proactive. I relate to what you're saying. I have someone that used to make pap from iron. I don't know how they do it, but there's a way they just mix it and they can make you pap. But he always does his own in a very special way, that he's going to add this milk and all of those things. And people buy it. You know, noodles, all of these things. People are buying it.
You know, in schooling days, that's where I learned all the principles of business. Firstly, I learned negotiation in school. You know, I looked Fulani, even though I was Hausa. So I had these Fulani people that pass our school fence. I always see them with their cattle. So I started creating friendship with them. I just chat with them, say hello, say hi. They even speak for full day. I think I'm Fulani. Then I tell them I don't speak, but then my family, I have family members that are Fulani. So sometimes I get my old clothes, student old clothes, I throw it to them through the fence. They loved it. They always come and say hello. So
Building
yes.
relationship.
Then I started sending them on errands. They could go. That's where they started buying Indomie for me. I said it's one piece. They go buy me 2 pieces of Indomie.
When they buy, you give them something.
Yes.
Just take this.
Yes. At a point, we even got to a point whereby they know where I keep the stuff for them to go and pick. They go, I write what I want, and then throw the paper where I know they will see it, and then they come and pick it up. They deliver. They throw it back. I pick up. They got to a point where they're delivering 10 cartons of Indomie. So these are the boss. This was the first step. Like you see, you have your supply now. So I created basically a distribution network. The distributor, other students, there are people that cook the Indomie for people and then they sell. I sell them to them at 250. They cook and sell it at 500. So there is a distribution chain.
So I enjoy the story, sincerely, but I still want the question. Was there a time that you made a mistake, apart from the one that you said that you lost money? You said you lost it. I'm so sorry about that. But was there any time that if you are given the chance, you would have done things differently in building your business?
Like apart from my totally changing my course, and then I believe I won't change anything because it's made me what I am today. I've lost more money than I can think about. I've done over 10 businesses. But then one thing I regret is like building businesses and leaving people to manage it, because all the businesses I manage myself have never failed, but then the ones I leave for other people to manage failed, because there's that selfish attitude I believe in most Nigerians or most employees. Once you give them a stream of income, they try to abuse it. So that's why it's very difficult now to find a good manager. Very difficult. So at that
time, they don't take it as their business. They just
my salon, my gaming shop. I left them because I had to go back to school. I had to go back to do my masters. I left them with someone to manage, and then I came back. I ended up just closing all of them because I was just angry, kind of. So that's something I regret. Like I just thought, why didn't I just stay in Nigeria? Do my master's degree here, continue managing my business.
So you would have loved to do your master's here.
I actually did. I have three master's degrees. I did one in Dubai, and then I did one with ABU in Zaria. So I have a master and MBA in investment and finance.
Investment and finance. Where does that one come from?
Well, all my background is engineering. Then I moved to engineering management. Engineering management is basically like MBA for engineers.
Right.
It's mostly the management aspect. So, and then I did my MBA because I made sure it's an engineering university because I want my case studies, my product to be based on Nigerian businesses, because other countries' case studies or dissertations or assignments does not reflect what we see in the Nigerian system.
Right.
Yeah, I believe they don't apply here mostly. So that's why when you go and copy business plans online and try to apply them in Nigeria, it won't work. So that's one thing most in business owners do. They start by creating business plans. They even go and pay as much as 500K for someone to develop a business plan for them. I believe business plan is not the way to go forward because the climate system is changing. You can write in your business plan, okay, I'm going to sell this item at 20 naira, so my profit will be 1 billion, Lord, will do 10 million at this. But then fuel price will change, and then your cost will change. Within this 1 year, there's over 600% inflation.
Yes.
So how do you change your business plan that you are the 5-year plan that you did? In one way, it has changed.
All governments are
so that's one thing. So I prefer doing business models. Business model are just one page. You just do business model canvas. It's a one pager that tells you what you are going to do, and you can do it every 2 months, every 3 months. It's easy. You see the whole picture of your business in one paper. It's like having a one pager, like in most tech businesses. After doing a pitch deck, you develop a one pager. Something you can give someone that can understand your business within 10 minutes of reading it, or 5 minutes. When we go and read 80-page business plan, the only use of business plan is when you start looking for funding. At that time, you can develop a business plan. You understand the climate, you understand the business, you have started using, making revenue.
Right.
Because if you notice, there is no business plan that says you will make money from day one.
Correct.
People make, there's one thing about Excel sheets. You can make them to be positive at any time. Just change one figure. You'll be rich. Just, okay, I'll have 100,000 customers. They all buy my product. This, I'll make you 1 billion naira.
Yeah.
So you start looking at the house you're going to buy. So, but then Nigeria will show you paper.
Nigeria will show you paper.
So that's one thing about entrepreneurs. We need to also always adapt. You need to adapt to the kind of environment you are. You need to be interchangeable. There will be definitely difficulties, points whereby you feel like you want to give up. But then most businesses that thrive kind of businesses that kind of stuck to the rough patches, and then they eventually grew. So, well, that overcoming spirit is what makes that entrepreneur, because that's the difference between a first-time entrepreneur and one that has been doing it for a while. He knows that failure is part of it. Like you just need to fall down 10 times and rise up 11 times.
Exactly.
The failure, just try and learn to fail quick. That's what I say. Don't fail, because some people like they've started business, they know that it's not going well, but they don't want to leave it. So sometimes that delay will cost you more money. Just know when to give up, and then also know when to not give up and stay until
you want to fall and rise again.
Yeah. So it's kind of it's a two-way turn. You can either quit because that's the best way to go, or you can quit because you feel
it's not working.
Yeah.
That's very correct. So was there any time while building your business that you apply for grants or funding somewhat?
Yeah, I did. Because recently we at Roadrunner, we were part of Startup Bootcamp. It's an accelerator program in Europe. And last year's cohort was in Amsterdam. So we're among 4 startups in Africa that qualified.
Wow.
Yes. So it's only about 29 people, 29 startups basically, and and out of those 29, only 4 were African.
Wow.
And
only 4?
4 were African and 2 were Nigerian. So it was just me, my company, and another entity. I don't want to mention the name, just sure. So we took part of that program. Part of it is mostly you get some equity, you get some capital for equity. But then grants, mostly we have applied because mostly we are applying because we are among the green climate
section of SDG.
Yes,
okay.
Because we are trying to make mobility sustainable. We finance most of the vehicles we finance are CNG,
Okay.
And then even the bikes now, we have partnered with Africa's largest electric bike manufacturer.
Wow.
Yes. So they provide us with the bikes we use, and it's rechargeable. It's chargeable, it's electric, fully electric. And we have about 4 stations now for swapping batteries.
Wow.
You can just drive instead of, because we know there's a problem of people getting even a place to charge their bikes. So we just created swap stations. The logistic owners, they can just stop by one day, they remove the battery and put another one for you that's fully charged. While they place your own to charge, you can go at a later time when you have drained that one, you can collect your own when it's fully charged. You just pay a little token. You're just not going to fuel station, but this time around, you are saving about 70% of the cost.
Of even your time.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So what is your step-by-step process for any founder that wants to get grants? What do you think they should have in place? What do you think is the best place for them to get grants, especially if they are just starting up? Now, some of them might not have company yet.
Yeah.
They might not have a company yet, but what do you think is like the best approach? Do you need to get this ready and check out this website, check out this, check out that? So what's your step-by-step process of getting grants for?
You see, one thing is most people focus on grant, but I believe that's not the way to go.
Yeah.
It just depends. If you don't have funding, if you don't have capital, grant is a good way to get some money to start or push your business further. But then your business has to answer a few questions first. One, it has to maybe be life-changing or very innovative. doing something that most people are not doing. Solving, yes,
that people are facing.
maybe changing a humanitarian cause. Like there are so many grants that are given not because you are making profit, but because that thing you're doing, it saves lives or empowers people, stuff like that, trains entrepreneurs. Even if it's free, you will get grants for those kind of stuff. There are people that just make money just through grants. That's their business model. They just go to grant competitions and win them and make money. And then that's
how they move.
Yeah, they move.
Wow.
It works for them.
It works for them.
So
it will work for them.
Yeah. So one easy way of going about it, like to find where even to apply. AI now it's made it easy. Even ChatGPT now you can tell it about your business. Okay, say I do this and this and this. Which are the organizations I can apply grants? It will list a few organizations that are. You can even specify, say that support grants in Africa, Nigeria specifically. It will list a few companies and ask it what are the steps, what are the requirements. It will tell you the requirements. It's for you now to kind of build the business plan, do a proposal for them that fits their goal, and then apply. If you are lucky and then you pitch, they give you an opportunity to pitch mostly. And most of the time they have first a Zoom meeting with you. You have a chat, and if it works, you get another meeting. Maybe because grants are sometimes even harder than investment. Because it's free money. So they make sure they go do their due diligence. They come and see your office. They come and see what you are doing. They talk to your customers and make sure it's worth it before giving you.
So many businesses in Nigeria now are. The build businesses, you will see it thriving, you will see it moving, you feel like, okay, this is Africa's next solution to this, to that. But then in 5 years, everything just come crashing down. And we wonder, what went wrong? What's wrong? From your experience, what do you think is one of the major or the leading causes of business crashing down? A once thriving business crashing down, what do you think is the leading cause?
I believe it starts with government initiatives. Our government, I would say it frankly, like Nigeria doesn't support small businesses. Although they say they do with their grants, with the money, it kind of hits me because I feel pain sometimes because I believe if all the businesses I started them somewhere. They will do better.
You would have done better.
Yeah. Even though Nigeria has a lot of problems, and where problems are, there's where opportunities lie.
Yes.
But then the government doesn't give incentives for that. Example, like in China, there are so many businesses that came to China. They had to go out because they said we are supporting our own, we are supporting our brand, we are building our local industry. Yeah. Example, Uber didn't survive when Google is not existing in China. They have their own company. If another company comes, they say, okay, we can't have you. Example, in Nigeria, we have companies that are doing as good as Uber, like Roadrunner example, and Bolt. But then instead of we going for Amazon, we have Jumia, which is a Nigerian company. So we don't support our own kind of solutions. Sometimes there's this inferiority complex that customers feel like Nigerian brands are inferior. Yes. People sometimes we rather buy from China than buy a Nigerian product that's even better quality. Okay. And they don't even know most of the raw materials sometimes are even taken from Nigeria to process. Yes. But talking about raw materials, I was really surprised when the popular Italian leader for making bags, shoes, is taken from Aba. I don't know if you know Aba in this Northeast. I was really surprised because it has grown really big. Lorry Paris fashion show. They use some of this leather, and Lorry Paris is one of the biggest fashion show in the world, and they use some of this leather, and Nigeria are not even getting credit for it. Like Nigerian local talents are not getting credit for it. So I really see the main problem with most Nigerian products is adding value. We don't add value to product. Example, cocoa is moved to Nigeria and sold for pennies basically, and then when it goes there, it's being converted, the value is being added, and it's being made to chocolate, and then sold back to us at 120% profit. We're selling our product for cheap, and then they convert it. So once we know if we can add value to our products, it will be worth it and it will scale. And then we need to have initiatives that say, okay, if you're a foreign company, you are coming to Nigeria, put taxation, put stuff on them that will make them even want to stay. That way Nigerians can grow, or give companies within Nigeria like maybe 2 years tax rebate, and give them an environment that allows them to thrive. Example now, FIRS will like, before you even start business, once you put your name on you see FIRS staff coming there, tax, before you even start making money. Because Nigeria, example now, they're just at the point whereby the economy is down. They want to raise money as much as they can, increasing tax rates, increasing whatever. So the environment is not really good for thriving. But then, secondly, one thing we need to do is, apart from controlling the kind of companies that come to compete with us, accessibility of business funding. In a board, you can easily go with a good business plan, get money from the bank at at less than 10% interest rate.
Wow.
But here in Nigeria, the minimum is 33% per annum.
33.
Yes, per annum. And then no bank will give an entrepreneur or startup book money now. No bank. They only give big companies because they know that they can pay back. They have assets worth more than the money, so they don't mind giving. But banks don't say that.
What going to say is the fault of the bank, because the banks know that the economic is down, so they know that it's like putting a risk. You know, like you mentioned, other countries are doing it based off on the fact that something wrong. The economy is
I would say it's the fault of the banks.
Okay.
Why? Because let me ask you a question. Have you ever heard of any bank in Nigeria that's declared a loss in a year?
No.
Is that possible in a normal business cycle? Why is the economy down and banks are making money? Why? In other countries, it's not like that. If the economy is going down, banks go down. When you look at the banking crash in 2008, so many banks went out. They had billions worth. They lost them because they go with the economy. If economy is going down, the interest rate should go down. But banks in Nigeria only give money to things that they know that it's 100% sure, and that's not business. Business is about taking risk. They need to have an environment whereby they can hear your idea, know it's worth it, invest, just like how venture capitals are doing it. Sometimes the cycle doesn't work out, they lose money. So that's how business, you lose money, but banks never lose money.
Yeah, they have insurance cover.
Not even insurance. They make sure like you have a collateral that's worth more than that value. So if you don't give them the money, they will sell the collateral. So they always make their money back. So that's why I blame the banks, because they don't support startups. And these little government initiatives that are there to support startups, there's no good management behind it, because they give the money to the wrong people most of the time. They give it to their family and friends, or people that can pay for it. So stuff like that.
Like someone said, they'll give it to people that will make them go back into government again.
Yeah.
Wow, that's very, very inspiring. So if there's one thing that you've learned in building your business, what is one thing you can tell our audience about building businesses in Nigeria?
Yeah.
What is that thing?
Well, there's this quote I always say: start small, start now, just start. Putting that idea into fruition is what matters the most. And then secondly, when you're solving people's wants and needs, it makes you rich, but then when you're solving people's problems, it makes you wealthy. So there's a difference. Like, you want a shirt, like I sell clothes, you buy. That's just a want. But then if I'm solving a problem, maybe a life-changing problem for you, it's different. It makes you really want to buy it, whatever price. That's why, for example, like you will see, let's see, Louis Vuitton will make their some of their materials even in Bangladesh, and then it's still that same fabric. Just because they put the logo, people will buy it for 10 times because of the value the brand brings to them. So, as I said, you just start small, and then start. The most important thing is for you to start.
Just start first. Start something.
Yeah.
And don't forget, when starting, remember your legal framework and your documentation should be put in place before you even put anything out to the public. Thank you very much, Engineer Mustapha Ibrahim, for joining us on this podcast. I have learned a lot as a person, and I believe our audience have learned a lot. And I must say, a great job you're doing at PIVEA and Roadrunner Logistics. It's a lot because I know the Nigerian we find ourselves today. Running business is not a rocket science. But it takes a lot. So I want to really say well done. And thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. Thank you so much, our audience, for joining us on this podcast. This is the Idea Game Changer. And this is the In My Opinion section. We just have an interesting episode with Engineer Ibrahim Mustapha, who has talked about how to build sustainable brands, especially tech in Nigeria. And I hope you've learned a lot. Join us next time where we'll be coming on the Idea Game Changer, where we talk about different aspects. We bring to you Science Chatterbox, we bring to you Share Your Story, we bring to you the Young Einstein. Till we meet next time, my name is Olaliko Mandela of Nigeria and not of South Africa. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.